June 6, 1944, 12:15 a.m. Midnight over Normandy, France. British gliders cut loose from their tow aircraft and descend silently toward two bridges over the Caen Canal and Orne River. Inside, 180 men of the 6th Airborne Division grip their weapons, knowing that in minutes they'll either secure these vital bridges or die trying. At 12:16 a.m. precisely, the first glider crashes into the ground just 47 yards from its target. Major John Howard and his men pour out, charging the bridge in darkness. The stunned German guards are overwhelmed in minutes. Two bridges captured. The first victory of D-Day, achieved before most of the invasion force has even left England. But this is just the beginning. Over the next 24 hours, 156,000 Allied troops will storm the beaches of Normandy in the largest amphibious invasion in history. 5 beaches, Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, Sword, will become household names. Thousands will die. Thousands more will be wounded. But by nightfall, the Allies will have established a foothold in Hitler's fortress Europe. This is D-Day, the longest day of World War II. The operation that required 3 years of planning involved millions of personnel and opened the second front that would eventually crush Nazi Germany between Allied forces advancing from the west and Soviet forces grinding from the east. This is the story of June 6, 1944, the day that changed the course of the war and the fate of the world. To understand D-Day's magnitude, we must understand the planning that made it possible. From the moment America enters the war in December 1941, the question looms: when will the Allies invade Europe? Stalin demands a second front to relieve pressure on the Soviet Union. Churchill advocates a peripheral strategy: North Africa, Sicily, Italy, avoiding direct assault on Germany's strongest defenses. But by 1943, the strategic situation demands invasion. Germany must be defeated in Europe, and that requires landing an army on the continent. In December 1943, General Dwight D. Eisenhower is appointed Supreme Commander Allied Expeditionary Force. His mission: plan and execute the invasion of German-occupied Europe. The German Atlantic Wall stretches from Norway to Spain. Thousands of miles of fortifications, obstacles, mines, and artillery positions. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, commanding German defenses in France, has strengthened the fortifications significantly. His philosophy: stop the invasion on the beaches, because once Allied forces establish a foothold, Germany lacks the resources to push them back into the sea. The Allies face enormous challenges. Challenge 1. Where to invade? The Pas-de-Calais is the shortest crossing from England, but most heavily defended. Normandy is farther but less fortified and offers better port prospects. Challenge 2. When? The invasion requires specific conditions: low tide to expose German obstacles, moonlight for paratroopers, calm seas, good weather. These conditions occur only a few days per month. Challenge 3. How to achieve surprise. The Germans know invasion is coming. The question is where and when. The Allies must deceive them about the actual landing site. Challenge 4. Logistics. Landing 150,000 plus troops on enemy beaches requires thousands of ships, landing craft, aircraft, vehicles, tons of supplies, ammunition, fuel. The logistics are unprecedented. The solution: location, Normandy is selected. 5 beaches, codenamed Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword, will be assaulted simultaneously. Timing: early June 1944 offers the required tide, moon, and weather conditions. Deception: Operation Fortitude creates a phantom army in southeast England under General Patton, complete with fake radio traffic, dummy tanks, and false intelligence. The goal: convince Germans the invasion will hit Pas-de-Calais. Logistics. Britain becomes a massive military camp. Troops train relentlessly. Ships assemble in ports. Supplies stockpile. By June 1944, southern England holds approximately 2 million troops, 11,000 aircraft, and 7,000 vessels. The plan. Phase 1, Midnight Dawn. Airborne drops behind beaches to secure flanks, destroy bridges, disrupt German communications. Phase 2, Dawn. Massive naval bombardment of coastal defenses. Phase 3, H-hour, 6:30 am. Amphibious assault on 5 beaches. Phase 4, D+1 to D+7. Expand beachhead, link sectors, capture Cherbourg port. Everything depends on weather, secrecy, and execution. June 5, 1944, D-Day is scheduled for this morning. But weather turns foul. Heavy winds, rough seas, low clouds. Eisenhower postpones 24 hours. Thousands of ships already at sea must turn back. The delay increases risk of discovery. June 5th, evening. Eisenhower meets with his meteorologists. They predict a brief weather window on June 6th. Not ideal conditions, but acceptable. The decision is agonizing. Delay further, and the tide moon conditions won't return for weeks. Go forward and risk disaster in bad weather. At approximately 9:45 p.m., Eisenhower makes the decision. Okay, we'll go. The greatest invasion in history is now unstoppable. Across southern England, men prepare. American paratroopers of the 82nd and 101st Airborne blacken their faces, check equipment, and board C-47 transport aircraft. Many have never jumped in combat. British and Canadian infantry board landing craft. Seasickness is universal. The rough channel crossing turns thousands of men green before they even reach the beaches. Rangers prepare to scale the cliffs at Point du Hoc to destroy German artillery that threatens Omaha Beach. Across the channel, German defenders go about routine duties. Some are on alert, but many believe the rough weather makes invasion impossible today. Rommel has even left to visit his wife in Germany for her birthday. The deception works. German intelligence believes the invasion will hit Pas-de-Calais. Even as reports come in of airborne drops in Normandy, German high command assumes it's a feint. The real invasion, they believe, will come later at Calais. Panzer divisions that could crush the landings remain held in reserve, waiting for the real invasion. 12 o'clock a.m., 6 o'clock behind the invasion beaches, American and British paratroopers drop into darkness. The mission: secure key roads, bridges, and causeways to prevent German reinforcements from reaching the beaches. British 6th Airborne, eastern flank. The glider assault on the Caen Canal and Orne River bridges succeeds brilliantly. Major John Howard's men capture both bridges intact within minutes. This secures the invasion's eastern flank. Additional paratroopers drop to destroy bridges over the Diaries River, preventing German counterattacks from the east. American 82nd and 101st Airborne, western flank. The American drops are chaotic. Pilots flying through heavy anti-aircraft fire scatter troops across Normandy. Men land miles from objectives. Units become mixed. Equipment is lost in flooded fields. But the chaos works in the Allies' favor. German commanders, receiving reports of paratroopers across a wide area, cannot determine the invasion's focus. Small groups of Americans, hopelessly scattered, fight with improvised tactics. The famous cricket clickers help soldiers identify each other in darkness. Despite the disorganization, key objectives are achieved. Causeways across flooded areas behind Utah Beach are secured. The town of St. Miraglise is captured. German communications are disrupted. Confusion reigns in German command. Casualties are heavy. Many paratroopers drown in flooded fields, weighed down by equipment. Others are killed in the drop or captured. But by dawn, enough men are in position to support the beach landings. Asterisk 5:30 am. Asterisk. Naval bombardment begins. Battleships, cruisers, and destroyers pound German positions with thousands of shells. The thunder is heard across the channel. 6:30 am. H hour. The first waves hit the beaches. Utah Beach, American, the 4th Infantry Division lands 2,000 yards south of planned location due to strong currents. This accident is fortuitous. They've landed in a less defended sector. Brigadier General Theodore Roosevelt, Jr., son of President Teddy Roosevelt, at 56 the oldest man in the invasion, lands with the first wave. Seeing the error, he makes the famous decision: "We'll start the war from right here." Utah Beach is the invasion's great success. By day's end, 21,000 troops are ashore with only 197 casualties. The link-up with paratroopers proceeds smoothly. Omaha Beach, American, Omaha becomes the day's bloodiest battle. Everything goes wrong. The pre-invasion bombing misses German positions. Naval bombardment is too brief. Amphibious tanks launched too far offshore sink in rough seas. Strong currents push landing craft off course. German defenses, underestimated by intelligence, are formidable. The 1st and 29th Infantry Divisions hit the beach and face withering fire. German machine guns positioned in fortified positions on the bluffs command every inch of beach. Mortar and artillery fire is devastating. The first waves are pinned down at the water's edge. Bodies pile up. Landing craft burn. The beach becomes a killing ground. For hours, the invasion hangs in balance. Commanders offshore consider abandoning Omaha, but small groups begin moving. A few leaders, colonels, captains, sergeants, start pushing men forward. "Two kinds of people are staying on this beach," Colonel George Taylor shouts: "the dead and those about to die. Now let's get the hell out of here." Destroyers risk running aground to provide close fire support. Rangers scale the cliffs. Gradually, painfully, troops fight their way off the beach and up the bluffs. By nightfall, a tenuous foothold exists. Casualties, approximately 2,000 on Omaha alone, nearly half the day's American losses. Gold Beach, British. The British 50th Infantry Division lands at Gold Beach. Specialized armored vehicles, Hobart's funnies, prove their worth. Flail tanks clear mines. Armored bulldozers push obstacles aside. Churchill tanks with heavy guns blast fortifications. Resistance is stiff but manageable. By day's end, Gold Beach forces have advanced several miles inland and nearly link with Juno Beach forces. Juno Beach, Canadian. The 3rd Canadian Infantry Division faces strong resistance. Rough seas delay landing, causing troops to hit at rising tide when obstacles are partially submerged. Casualties are heavy in the initial assault, but Canadian determination prevails. They push inland farther than any other force on D-Day, nearly reaching the outskirts of Caen, though the city won't fall for weeks. Sword Beach, British. The British 3rd Infantry Division lands at Sword, the easternmost beach. They link up with paratroopers who captured the Caen Canal bridges. The advance inland proceeds well initially, but German resistance stiffens. British tanks attempting to reach Caen are stopped by German 21st Panzer Division, the only significant German armored counterattack of the day. POINTEDUHOC, American Rangers. Between Utah and Omaha. 225 Rangers scale 100-foot cliffs under fire to destroy German artillery positions that could devastate both beaches. Using ropes, ladders, and grappling hooks, they reach the top and capture the position. The guns, however, aren't there. moved inland before the invasion. The Rangers find and destroy them, then hold their position against German counterattacks for 2 days. Casualties: 135 of 225 men. The German reaction to D-Day is confused, delayed, and ultimately ineffective. Rommel's absence. The commander of Atlantic Wall defenses, is in Germany. He doesn't return until evening, losing crucial hours. Hitler's sleep. The Führer, a notorious late sleeper, isn't awakened with news of the invasion. Staff officers fear disturbing him. When he finally wakes and receives reports, he still believes Normandy is a feint. The Panzer problem. Powerful panzer divisions are held in reserve around Calais, awaiting the real invasion. Releasing them requires Hitler's personal authorization. He doesn't give it until afternoon, far too late. Even then, movement is slowed by Allied air superiority. The 21st Panzer Division, the only German armored unit near the beaches, launches a counterattack towards Sword Beach in the afternoon. They reach the beach, but achieve nothing significant. Seeing Allied gliders landing for reinforcement, the panzers withdraw, fearing encirclement. Luftwaffe absence. The German Air Force is nearly absent. Allied air superiority is total. German pilots attempting to reach Normandy are shot down or driven off. By evening, German commanders realize Normandy is the real invasion. But by then, 156,000 Allied troops are ashore, and the opportunity to push them back into the sea has passed. As darkness falls on June 6th, the Allies conduct the first assessments. Allied forces ashore. Approximately 156,000 troops landed, 73,000 American, 83,000 British/Canadian, 23,000 airborne troops, 195,000 plus naval and merchant navy personnel in 7,000 vessels, 11,000 plus aircraft flew sorties casualties, 4414 Allied dead, 2501 American, approximately 5,000 plus wounded, total Allied casualties, 10,000 German casualties, estimates range from 4,000 to 9,000. Records, incomplete. The beachhead, depth, 6 to 10 miles depending on sector, Utah and Omaha, not yet linked, Gold, Juno, and Sword not yet fully connected, Khan. A D-Day objective, not captured. D-Day succeeds. The Allies are ashore and staying, but the lodgment is fragile, the casualties are heavy, and key objectives remain unreached. The Battle of Normandy has just begun. D-Day significance extends far beyond June 6th. Strategic impact, the second front is opened. Hitler now fights a two-front war, Soviets advancing from the east, Western allies from Normandy. Germany's strategic position becomes untenable. Logistical marvel, D-Day remains history's most complex military operation. The coordination of naval forces, air power, ground troops, logistics, deception, and intelligence represents unprecedented military planning. Technological innovation, Mulberry artificial harbors, Pluto undersea fuel pipeline, specialized armor, naval fire support doctrine. D-Day drives innovation that influences military operations for decades. Allied cooperation, Americans, British, Canadians, French, Poles, and others fight together under unified command. This coalition warfare model becomes the template for NATO. The 4414 Allied dead on D-Day are just the beginning. The Battle of Normandy continues until August, costing over 200,000 Allied casualties. But D-Day makes victory inevitable. The question is no longer if Germany will be defeated, but when. Behind the statistics are individuals. The 19-year-old private from Iowa drowning in the surf at Omaha. the British paratrooper bleeding out in a Normandy field, the Canadian sergeant leading his squad off Juno Beach, the American medic treating wounded under fire. Each of the 156,000 men who landed on D-Day has a story. Most survived. Thousands did not. All were part of something larger than themselves, the liberation of Europe from Nazi tyranny. June 6, 1944. As darkness falls over Normandy, exhausted Allied soldiers dig foxholes in Norman soil. They've survived the longest day. Behind them, the beaches are littered with the debris of invasion. Burned out vehicles, abandoned equipment, the dead awaiting burial. Offshore, convoys already stream toward France with reinforcements and supplies. In England, more troops prepare to cross. The invasion has succeeded, but the Battle of Normandy is just beginning. For the men who fought on D-Day, it becomes the defining experience of their lives. Decades later, veterans return to the beaches, seeking meaning in the sand where so many of their friends died. They visit the cemeteries, row upon row of white crosses and stars of David marking where the price was paid. The American cemetery at Normandy overlooks Omaha Beach, 9388 Grave. The missing names of 1557 more are inscribed on the memorial. Similar cemeteries dot Normandy, British, Canadian, German, all testify to June 6th's cost. D-Day succeeded because thousands of ordinary men did extraordinary things. They climbed out of landing craft into machine gun fire. They jumped from aircraft into darkness. They drove tanks through minefields. They treated wounded under artillery fire. They did their jobs despite fear, despite casualties, despite chaos. The invasion's success came from planning, yes, from logistics, technology, and deception, but ultimately from the courage of individual soldiers who kept moving forward when every instinct screamed to take cover. Eisenhower carried a note in his pocket that night, a message to release if D-Day failed, accepting full responsibility. He never needed to use it. The invasion succeeded. Not perfectly, casualties were higher than hoped, objectives unreached, but succeeded nonetheless. D-Day proved that Hitler's fortress Europe could be breached, that Allied cooperation could work, that with enough planning, resources, and courage, even the most daunting military operation could succeed. 11 months after D-Day, Germany surrenders. VE Day, victory in Europe. The Second Front that opened on June 6, 1944, achieves its ultimate objective. But the men who stormed the beaches never forgot. For them, D-Day remained the longest day, the day they faced death on a Norman beach and somehow survived, the day they were part of history's greatest invasion, the day they helped liberate Europe. It was the longest day, veterans would say years later. The longest day of my life, the longest day of the war, the longest day in history, and they were right.